and most Americans know today as Columbus Day, at least in 47 states, although Hawaii has renamed it Discoverers Day after the original Polynesians who populated that island thousands of years ago. South Dakota calls it Native American Day, and Alaska just ignores it, like pretty much everything else. But what we're really celebrating today is Happy Tainos Genocide Day, the day when Christopher Columbus began to wipe out an entire indigenous population in a way that would even make Pol Pot blush. In 1492, Columbus was on a manic hunt for gold when he set sail and eventually landed on a small island off the coast of North and South America, an island today known as Hispaniola, which is split between the nations of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And as he wrote in a letter to the King and Queen of Spain, "Gold is most excellent. Gold constitutes treasure, and he who has it does all he wants in the world and can even lift souls up to paradise." But when he landed in what he called the New World, there wasn't much gold. But he did find something he thought was just as good as gold: people, who, in Columbus's mind, would make great slaves. So he wrote to the Spanish monarch, quote, "They are well built, with good bodies and handsome features. They do not bear arms and do not know them. For I showed them a sword, they took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. They have no iron. Their spears are made of cane. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. And here there are so many of these slaves, although they are living things, they are as good as gold." End of quote from Christopher Columbus. What Columbus did to the island and the tragedy he brought to the native population there has been largely erased by time and replaced by a glorified story of a bold explorer who changed the planet. In reality, though, as a result of what we've learned from writings by Christopher Columbus's own men, he raped, pillaged, enslaved, and slaughtered people just to get rich. Not exactly the type of guy worthy of a Main Street parade. One of Columbus's crewmen, Miguel Queno, described the scene when Columbus arrived in Hispaniola for the second time, and thousands of Tainos, or what were referred to as Indians, came out to greet the ships. Queno writes, "When our caravels," that's the ships, were to leave for Spain, we gathered 1,600 male and female persons of those Indians. For those who remained, that is for the Spaniards who were staying on the island, we let it be known to the Spaniards in the vicinity that anyone who wanted to take some of them, that is the slaves, could do so to the amount desired, which was done." Queno went on to write that he took his own sex slave, a beautiful teenage girl who, in his own words, quote, "resisted with all her strength," end quote, leaving him no other choice but to, quote, "thrash her mercilessly and rape her," end quote. And when Columbus's men did good work, Columbus routinely presented them with their very own sex slaves. But that was just the beginning. Columbus eventually started up a global child sex slave trade, exporting young Indians all around the world. As he bragged to a friend in a letter written in 1500, 100 castellanos, that's a Spanish coin, are as easily obtained for a woman as for a farm. And it is very general, and there are plenty of dealers who go about looking for girls. Those from 9 to 10 years old are now in demand, end quote, from Christopher Columbus. Eventually, under Columbus's orders, life for the Taino on their homeland of Hispaniola got so bad that they resorted to mass suicide. As the Spanish missionary Pedro Cordoba noted in 1517, 25 years after Columbus arrived, quote, "As a result of the sufferings and hard labor they endured, the Indians choose and have chosen suicide. Occasionally 100 have committed mass suicide. The women, exhausted by labor, have shunned conception and childbirth. Many, when pregnant, have taken something to abort and have aborted. Others, after delivery, have killed their children with their own hands so as not to leave them in such oppressive slavery." End quote. By the time Cordoba wrote those words, the indigenous population on Hispaniola had plummeted from roughly 3 million people before Columbus arrived to only 12,000 people 25 years later. A few decades after that, not one was left on the island. An entire culture and people completely wiped off the map and largely forgotten, thanks to Christopher Columbus. Happy Tainos Genocide Day. I propose we rename Columbus Day Tainos Genocide Day or Native American Genocide Day. Take your pick.